Hello. China's rise is one of the greatest economic success stories in the modern history. Over the past 4 decades, it used its manufacturing exports to lift hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and became the world's industrial powerhouse. But a new question is emerging. If China continues to dominate both advanced industry and labor intensive manufacturing, what happens to countries that are trying to follow the same path? For cities like Addis Ababa, Dhaka, Lagos, Nairobi, Surat, and Phnom Penh, the concern is not factories closing. The concern is factories never being built in the first place. This is what many economists now call the China squeeze, a situation where China's overwhelming manufacturing strength leaves less room for poorer countries to industrialize and create jobs. One reason this debate has intensified is China's enormous trade surplus. Today, China exports far more goods than it imports, and that surplus has reached levels rarely seen in the modern economic history. Organizations such as International Monetary Fund have warned that growing global imbalances can create negative spillovers for the other economies. In simple terms, when one country captures a very large share of global manufacturing demand, it becomes harder for the others to develop competitive industries of their own. China's supporters argue this reflects efficiency and competitiveness. Critics argue that such large surpluses can distort the global trading system and limit the opportunities elsewhere. The biggest concern is not actually electric vehicles or advanced technology. It is China's continuous dominance in the labor-intensive industries such as textile, apparel, footwear, toys, manufacturing, furniture, and basic electronic assembly. Historically, these sectors have been the first step on the ladder of development. Countries like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and China itself all started with labor-intensive manufacturing before moving into higher value industries. But China has managed to remain dominant even after becoming much wealthier. As a result, many poor countries are finding it difficult to gain market share in the very industry that traditionally helped nations escape poverty. When people hear about the China shock, they often think about manufacturing jobs lost in places like Detroit or industrial regions in Europe. But the larger story may be unfolding elsewhere. The biggest victims are often workers who never get the opportunity to enter factories at all. A worker in Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Kenya, or Cambodia cannot lose a factory job that never existed. The real cost of China's squeeze is measured in missed opportunities. Factories never opened, exports never developed, skills never acquired, and industrial ecosystem never created. That makes this not just an economic issue, but a development issue affecting hundreds of millions of people. Normally, rising wages should push manufacturing toward a low-cost countries. Chinese manufacturing wages today are several times higher than the wages in the countries such as Bangladesh. Yet China continues to dominate many labor-intensive industries. These are several possible explanations. China benefits from enormous industrial scale, highly efficient supply chains, world-class ports, advanced logistic networks, and dense manufacturing clusters. Some analysts also point to industrial subsidies, state-directed financing, and an undervalued currency as factors that strengthen China's export. The reality is likely a combination of genuine productivity advantages and policy support. Regardless of the cause, the result is the same. China remains highly competitive even in the industries where economic theory suggests it should be losing market share. If poorer countries gain more room in global manufacturing market, the potential become benefits could be enormous. Sub-Saharan Africa could multiply its exports several times over. Countries like Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia could significantly expand employment in labor-intensive industries. Manufacturing matters because it creates more than just jobs. It builds supply chains, infrastructure, management expertise, logistic capabilities, financial system, and government capacity. History shows that nearly every country that successfully escaped the poverty did so through some of the form of industrial transformation. The concern is that if this pathway becomes blocked, future development becomes much harder. As China's global influence grows, it faces a strategic choice. It can continue focusing on maximizing manufacturing dominance, or it can position itself as a leader that creates opportunity for others. Possible measures include granting wider market access to poorer countries, encouraging Chinese firms to build factories abroad, supporting industrial development in emerging economies, and allowing the CNY, that is the China currency, to appreciate over time. The broader question is what kind of global leadership China wants to provide. Great powers are remembered not only for how much wealth they can accumulate, but also for whether they can create opportunities for others to prosper. If China wants to be seen as a true global leader, many argue that it must move beyond domination and help create a world where more countries can climb the industrial ladder that China itself once climbed. Thank you.